What up, y'all? Appreciate you showing up, hanging out, listening to my dumb ass. Like and subscribe. So, I watched the first 40 minutes of God of War Ragnarok. Also, I watched an additional probably 6 hours of gameplay. Someone random on the internet was playing it. So, what do I think about what I've seen? Now, I know some people are like, oh, you got to play the game, and you just watch the game. That's not playing the game, and watch the game, play the game, right? Some people say that. I get that. But when you have games on your system that are predominantly, let's say, story-based, cinematic, that's kind of the important part, right? Like, oh, the one-shot camera thing is cool, even though it's not one-shot. It's not true one-shot. They do some tricks. They cheated sometimes, which is fine. It's, that's what they all do, usually. I mean, back in the day. Well, anyway, we're not doing that. Anyway, so let's do the first 40 minutes. So I watched the first 40 minutes. I was like, okay, Atreus is older. He's trying to figure out. He wants answers. He wants his dad to not be a dad, but be a general. We need to figure out how I can be the best Loki ever, or something like that. I don't know. It's weird. And I know I spoke about the Thor fight, which was pretty cool. Well, the writing was cool. Okay, so to boil it down, really, it's really about the writing and the acting, right? The performances. The gameplay itself, when you break it down, it's God of War. When you play it, sure, you're playing it. But there was a point where I was watching a long part of the 6 hour part of the gameplay I was watching. And Kratos it was Kratos, Atreus, and Uncle Buck, whatever his dead wife's brother's name is, I don't even remember. It has an IR at the end, something near. Mimir? No, that's the head. Vizier? I don't know. Doesn't matter. And they were in some magical place with colorful stuffs and little creatures running around they had to kill. And then the puzzles were these giant crystals that were hanging on like counterweights or whatever. And he had to throw his Leviathan axe to hit, line it up a certain way, and then you see the blue line, and the blue line, and you throw the axe and it hits the thing and opens the next door. Yay! I'm like, okay, that's a video game ass game right there, right? So when you extract the one-shot stuff, when you extract the cinematics and the story and the acting, and you boil down the game, I was looking at it, I was like, for some reason, God of War, to me, it snapped in my head, and it was like, yo, this is kind of like Gears of War. Gears of War 5. Play Gears of War 5. And I was like, I will admit that I like the setting and the mystical and the magical and the fantasy, creatures and magic and all this stuff. I like that better than Gears of War. Obviously, Gears of War is just like the planet's called Serra. It's like an Earth kind of analog. Everybody's all chunky with the armor makes them look chunky, and it's okay. It's a little shallow, kind of, sort of. But in that respect, God of War does have kind of better lore, and it can go places that are more interesting to me personally. But gameplay-wise, break it down gameplay-wise, Gears of War is a better game to play. The shooting, I mean, if you look at it, the camera angle is basically the same. You're shooting fools. Well, and God of War, it's just melee. And even when you're playing as Atreus, spoilers, that's not really a spoiler. It's like you see the video game in it. And from all the words and all the things that I've heard on the internet, oh, this is the best game ever, and blah, blah, blah. It's like, you know what? That may be true. It's definitely at the top among others, but it's not anything super special. It's a game. And so I'm like, okay, this is a melee game. It's God of War with a different camera angle and better presentation. That's what the game is. And yes, they added some RPG elements and stuff. And you can change your armor and all that good stuff, and that's cool. But you know, I'm looking at God of War. I'm looking at Gears of War. I'm looking at original God of War, and I'm like, yeah, these are game-ass games. What makes this God of War Ragnarok, the game of the year, or the best, or the 94 that it is at the time of this recording? And it is all that extra stuff. It is the cinematics. It is the spectacle, the acting, music, of course. Come on, son. So when you break it down, is the game itself a 94? I would argue that it's not. I would argue that the gameplay game part of the game, where you're actually controlling Kratos, all those parts, it's an 85, sure. And then all that extra whipped cream and toppings and sprinklings and all that stuff, it kicks it up a notch. It gives it the extra boost. It's into the 90s. I would say, personally, it's a 90. It's a 90. Now people give it a 70s, and like, no. Like the Korea, what was it? IGN Korea gave it a 7 something. I was like, oof. and the fanboys, okay. I always know that there's racism in this world, period. I'm in America, so yes, there's racism in America, obviously. I'm in Florida, yes, the South. I mean, there's pockets of Florida that is, super Cuban, super Haitian, so, we get a little break from it. But there's certain other parts of Florida where it's like, ding, 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 so you gotta watch out where you go. Anyway, these fanboys, I don't know. It was oh no, it's Alex. He did a video on it, and he was like, yo, it was just straight up first comment super racism. I'm like, jeez. I'm like, why do you knuckleheaded idiot gamers out there have to be racist? Okay, look, if you're racist, keep it to yourself, okay? I'm not gonna tell you not to be racist. It would behoove the human race for you not to be racist. It would help us greatly to evolve to a higher state of human for you not to be racist, but I understand it's hardwired into our DNA, so it takes time for that stuff to work itself out. That being said, keep it to yourself. This is video games. This is not politics. This is not life or death situations here. This is games. I mean, it's life and death when it comes to, people making the games. They gotta eat and get paid. Sure. But I'm talking about gamers talking about games. Let's be civil. Let's not, I don't even want to talk. I don't even want to say the things that they said about the IGN Korea outlet. And it's just crazy. And like I said, it exists. And for the youth, for the young people, like if you have little kids, I understand you want to shelter your kids from the evils of the world, but you need to teach them about these idiots. And they live everywhere, in every aspect of the world. Gaming included, excuse me. It's early. And what are you gonna do? We just need to power through and try to smack them down when they jump up. We gotta beat them down when they jump up. That's what we gotta do. Because they're punks. Anyway, that's what the Sony ponies did. And I would truly call these people ponies. If you're gonna go and you're gonna be racist to an IGN Korean just because they had a different opinion about a freaking toy that you're gonna play, don't be twisted. Video games are toys. They're just really complex and mature toys. Still toys. Just like a Mustang to a 59-year-old dude is a toy. So don't make this something that it shouldn't be. I'm sorry for the rant. I'm sorry that we had to go in this direction. It really was about like God of War, and yes, it is. It probably will be Game of the Year. Of course, it will be in some outlets. I would think there might be a few that will still stick with Elden Ring, and that's fine. I'm fine with it either way. I think both of them deserve it. My preference would be God of War Ragnarok as far as Game of the Year, but I see the repetition and I see the game has gameplay in it, and it's like, and I think the only thing that saves that game is the story, and I'm not too sure how much of the story, because like I said, I didn't see that much. Also, the 6 hours that I did watch was in Spanish. Now I understand some Spanish, not enough to get I got a few things. I was like, okay, but you know, it was more about the relationship between Atreus and his uncle, Uncle Giant Man. He's not green. I call him a green giant, but he's not green. The Uncle Giant, and then how Kratos and the Uncle Giant boy, his brother-in-law, I guess, is, you know, they're kind of like allies and whatever. It's technically they're brothers, so it's weird. If you have a chance, watch God of War Ragnarok in Spanish. It's kind of like watching Scooby-Doo in Spanish, where the voice actors are different, obviously. I think they got Atreus pretty good. He sounds just like the English dude. But Kratos didn't barely say anything. But the head, what's his name? Mimir, whatever his name is. He's didn't, because he has is it Scottish? I don't know what his accent is. He has a European accent in the game. And he does, I mean, obviously he doesn't have a European accent in Spanish version, it's just Spanish. So, I mean, maybe they could have used a different region of, maybe a Spain, or I don't know what they could have done. But it doesn't, I was like, wait, is that Mimir head? Or is that the brother? I couldn't tell because the voices were so close. And I know that sounds kind of sus. That sounds kind of almost racist. I'm like, they all sound the same, but they sound really similar. And it's different when you hear, you know, the English version. It's like, oh yeah, that's okay, that's him. You can pick up the voice. I mean, I can, because they're so distinct. You know, mainly because of the accent. And you know, when you have an accent, you have different rhythms with your intonations and the rhythms of your syllables and stuff. Everything's different, so you can pick it out easier. But in the Spanish version, in the Spanish dub, what they do is just like anime. They try to match the word placement with the English mouth movements, because I don't believe that they used any type of software mouth generation shape thing, or I think they just used the English mouth dubs, the mouth shapes, and then they dubbed it over, like, you know, like I said, anime or whatever. And it's tricky, you know. It felt like anime, except it was Spanish. Does that make sense? Because like the rhythm. So, but anyway, I'm not. You know, I know I'm critical only because it's a point of contention for the ponies. You know, I like to poke them a little bit here and there. God of War Ragnarok is a great game. It is derivative. It is the sequel. They said before that it was basically going to be DLC, and then they just made it too big, and so it's a real game. So, I mean, all those factors contribute to what it is. So I'd be like, all right, whatever. It's cool. I'm not going to hate on it. It's a good game. If it wins Game of the Year, I'm not going to be salty. It's all good. So, but yo, let me know what y'all think. Is the gameplay of God of War Ragnarok something that is super special? Like the gameplay, not the cinematics, not all the things that they put around the gameplay to kind of make it feel bigger than it is. Just the gameplay. Is it something that is better than a Gears of War, or better than, I could even say, Halo Infinite? I was playing that again last night, and that gameplay is fun as hell. Everything else around it is like, whatever. So we're talking about fun. We're talking about, you know, the lack of repetition, or excuse me, just kind of better ways to engage the player with that same, like, that gameplay loop. Is the gameplay loop of God of War better than Destiny? Better than, I don't know, Forza Horizon? You know, I know they're different genres, but, you know, games, and one is better than the other, period. So let me know in the comments. I appreciate y'all hanging out. Shout out to Games Lord for you know, commenting, nice long comments. I appreciate the nice long comments. I read them all sometimes. Sometimes I don't have time to get back to you, but I definitely appreciate you guys hanging out and showing up every time. And I'll see you on the next one. Tiltowait.